And my guest is in, William Ashong. But you don't like going by William Ashong. What do you like going by?
I'm Nii Sarpei Ashong.
Nii
But
Sarpei,
yeah,
welcome to the Arts Africa show.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, so you are the programs director,
Manager. Yeah.
at the
National
National Theatre, but before you were a performer, before you moved into admin.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to delve into that.
Interesting.
But first of all, I would like you. We always have our guests read something.
Okay.
A book that's important to them or a book that means something.
Okay.
And I see that you have actually chosen one of my favorite books
Oh.
to read. Now, the funny thing about this book,
Yeah.
it took me 4 attempts before I was able to
understand it.
Not even to understand it, to even read it.
Yeah.
I was,
Right.
I would get like the first chapter, like,
Uh,
2 authors have had that effect on me. Aikwe Ama
okay.
and Toni Morrison.
Toni Morrison.
I think I started with the wrong book.
Okay.
It just jarred me. But when I
Okay.
tried another book, then I fell in love with her and I could go back
Yeah.
and read it. So, share with us, what are you going to read from the book for us today?
I get. Thank you so much, and greetings to all your listeners and viewers. I think on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
I get emotional about this book so much.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because at the point in time where I got to see this book and read about it, read more about the book. I mean, it was a period in my life where I called, who am I? Or, looking for who really I was. It was a period between 2010 to somewhere latter part of 2012 into early part of 2013. This is a short period was. It was through one of my mentors that I got to read this book. He's also an artist. He's a lecturer as well.
Okay.
He gave me this book to read. And my God.
Yeah.
The first time I was like, what was this? You know how Aikwama writes with his words, his description. I mean, it's very heavy. So I read it the first time. I didn't really understand. I had to read again. Anytime I read it, I find something different.
New, something
and
different.
I'm like, whoa, what's this?
It's like an onion, different layers. Just.
I mean, it's like something different comes up. I find something here. And the way he writes the play, the novel, from the beginning, he takes you, the whole thing is about a man who is also the narrator.
Yes.
I mean, he takes you through the life of this man, right from the ordinary person, through his life, through his work, to, his family, and to society as well. I mean, so from the beginning, he describes, he talks about how the man was in the public transport, what goes on in the public transport. Basically, the whole book is about corruption.
Yes.
Which this book was written in the 1960s. But whatever is in this book is still relevant. We still talk about it today.
Yes.
For me, this book is evergreen.
And all the characters are all existing.
They are all existing. And the way he describes the character, we see them on the streets every day. I'm one of them. You are one of them.
Yes.
I mean, oh God.
Read us something.
Sure. Where do I even read?
Yeah, you choose because all of it is amazing.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe I'll read his conversation with the wife,
Okay.
Oyo.
Okay.
Yeah, and this was when this man had been to work, and there's a merchant, a timber merchant, who wants to bribe him, offer him bribe, so he could do certain things in his favor, and he rejects the bribe. Just listen to what the wife tells him.
Yes, understood.
Okay. So, because of time, I'm going to move. He says, I saw Kumsin on my way home. He says, that's the man. The wife is slow about showing any interest. And Estella was with him, I suppose. She asked at last. Ah, he nods, turning to look at her. He sees instead the eyes of his children. Oh, Oh, you loved ones, spare your beloved the silent agony of your eyes. The sound she makes should mean approval or at least acceptance, but it does not. Now it is a low cry full of resentment and disappointment. Then she has married well. The man wishes he had learned to bear the weight of the silence before, but now going back is impossible. They are going to the Atlantic Caprice. He raised the spoon to his mouth, and as he did so, he caught the scent of perfume still on his hand. I shook hands with his wife, and I can smell her still. Her hand was wet with the stuff. This long sound again. Life has treated her well. Kumsin says he wants to come and see us Sunday 9. That probably means your mother, not us. We should remember to tell her when she comes. The woman paused before answering. It is not only for my mother that Kumsin will come. What do you mean? Asked the man. His spoon drops and he ignores it. I mean, if things go well, they will go well for all of us. Do you think so? The man looks worriedly at his wife. She is irritated. Why are you trying to cut yourself apart from what goes for all of us? I did not know, the man says very slowly. I did not know that I had agreed to join anything. But you will be eating it with us when it is ripe. The woman's defensive little smile does nothing to remove the sharp edge of the question. The man rises from the table and goes toward his wife. She is about to shrink back from him, but he is smiling sadly down at her and she relaxes. Where is Kumsin getting all the money for this boat? He asks. He is getting it. Flat finality. All right, says the man. Let us say I am not in it. The woman stares unbelieving at her husband, then whispers softly, Chichidodo. Knock on the door. Answer from the woman, and an old woman with her breast barely covered by her cloth comes in, holding a little chipped enamel bowl at the tips of her fingers. Good evening, she says. Here I am again. Sugar. Would you be pleased to lend me a little sugar? Just for the children. The wife answers, we have just finished out our last packet ourselves. On the old woman's face appears a smile halfway between skepticism and triumphant belief. As she disappears through the doorway, she looks at the couple within and says, this life. The man looks at his wife and finds her eyes fixed on his face. What were you saying? He asks. Nothing, she says. He grows silent. Somebody offered me a bribe today, he says after a while. One of those timber contractors. To do what? To get him an allocation. And like an onward Christian soldier, you refused? The sudden vehemence of the question takes the man completely by surprise. Like a what? Onward Christian soldier marching us to war with the cross of Jesus going on before. The man took a long look at his wife's face. Then he said, it wasn't even necessary. What were you afraid of then? The woman asked. But why should I take it? And why not? When you shook Estella Kumsin's hand, was not the perfume that stayed on yours a pleasing thing? Maybe you like this crawling that we do, but I'm tired of it. I would like to have someone drive me where I want to go. Yes. Like Estella Kumsin? Yes, like Estella, and why not? Is she more than I? We don't know how she got what she has, the man said, and we don't care. The woman's voice had lost its excitement and reverted to its flatness. With a silent gesture, she sent the children back inside. We don't care. Why pretend? Everybody is swimming toward what he wants. Who wants to remain on the beach asking the wind, how? 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 Is that the way you see things now? He asked her, "Have you found some other way?" "No." "Would you refuse Kumsin's car if not given free to you?" "If God's given free to you, no, I would depend. Is there anything wrong with some entertainment now and then?" "Of course not." "Then why not?" "Why not what?" he asked. The woman's mouth opened, but she let it close again. Then she said, "It is nice. It is clean. The life Estella is getting." The man shrugged his shoulders. Then he spoke. It was with deliberate laziness. Some of that kind of cleanness has more rottenness in it than the slime of the bottom of a garbage dump. The woman almost sank. The sound might have been taken as a murmur of contentment. "You are the chichidodo itself." "Now, what do you mean by that?" The man's voice was not angry, just intrigued. Very calmly, the woman gave him her reply. "Ah, you know the chichidodo is a bird. The chichidodo hates excrement with all its soul, but the chichidodo only feeds on maggots. And you know the maggots grow best inside the lavatory. This is the chichidodo." The woman was smiling.
You know what? You can tell you're a theater man because of the way you read, the way you project, the je ne sais quoi that you put into the characters. But let me ask you something.
Please do.
The woman,
Yeah.
you can understand her.
Yeah, but I mean, she has a point. But the point really is, would you want your man or your husband to be corrupt and at the end be in danger or disgraced than to live your normal, honest life?
But do the corrupt ever get disgraced?
It doesn't matter. It's about what the soul wants.
Yes,
It's
and
about
she
your-
wants Estelle's car.
No, but it's not about. We are not. This life is not about. This man has that. You have that. So I also have to have it.
But it is, though.
No,
It shouldn't be.
it's all about you.
Yes.
And there's like they say, on the judgment day is you and your God.
You alone. Yes, that's
Yes.
true.
And sometimes there's a road that you have to take alone. Nobody will take you on that journey. So it's up to you to decide if you want to be corrupt or not.
Yeah,
There are so many forms of corruption.
that's true.
Yes.
That's
So it's
true.
up to you. So it's what about your instincts? Your conscience tells you.
And some of it has gotten to the point where it's become cultural that
Yeah.
people, they do it without even
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
You know, somebody does their job.
Yeah.
And then it's, oh, you get this,
Get
and
this,
you've
yeah.
put something in there already.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You see, that's why the woman asked her, does it matter how you get the money? But it does.
Yeah.
It does.
It does. It does.
Do you want to kill your child for money? Would you do that?
Plenty will. So are the beautiful ones, when are they going to be born?
That's the question that we've been asking
Since then. You know, at the moment, I'm reading A Brief History of 7 Killings by Marlon James. It's a thick book, and I think it won one of the major writing prizes a couple of years ago, but it's thick. I'm having a little difficulty with it because most of the language is in Jamaican patois.
Oh, okay.
So you're always
have
trying
to,
to decipher, and there's
decipher
a
it.
lot of street, but it's good. But I'm gonna go back
Sure.
to this. But thank you for that. I really liked the way you read it. I really love the way you read it.
It brings me back to my performing.
Yeah, performance. I have to tell you that read was fantastic. I loved
you.
it. Thank you very much. And now we are coming into the interview proper.
Yeah.
Okay, so I found 2 quotes. I'd like you to comment on that. The first one is, theatre is a verb before it is a noun, an act before it is a place.
Again.
Theatre is a verb before it is a noun, an act before it is a place. And then I have a second one. Theatre is a mirror, a sharp reflection of society.
Okay. I think they all fall in place because I mean theater is all about doing. It's so basically when we talk about theater, it's two things: the performance and the place. So in the first instance, it's a verb, doing,
Yes.
and then there's the noun, and then there's also the place. So basically, when you mention theater, it has all of these things in there.
Yeah.
So, and the next one says what?
Theatre is a mirror,
Mirror.
a sharp reflection of society.
Yes, because in theater, whatever we do is a live representation of real life or what imaginative situations that we present on stage or wherever we find ourselves presenting it. So it's a reflection of society. We portray what society is all about to the audience. So whichever way you take it, is that it's a true reflection or it's an imaginative piece of whatever is happening that is being reflected or projected or presented before the audience.
I mean, I have to say, I haven't been to much theatre here in Ghana.
Yeah.
When I lived abroad, I went to the theatre regularly because, you know, there were shows that were subsidized and, you know, people were encouraged to go. And even the same thing with opera. You know, usually operas are incredibly long. They can be 4 or 5 hours. But then, you know, they decided that to get the ordinary person interested, they started doing operas that lasted 1.5 hours or 2 hours max. And then they sang in English as opposed to Italian, so you could understand. And this kind of got people like, oh, opera is not so snobby, let me go. And that's how I also got into opera. What's happening with theatre in Ghana?
Theater in Ghana is still alive. I mean, for instance, I mean, when you take, I am with the National Theatre. We in the National Theatre. Okay, this is the work I do. I'm not speaking for the National Theatre,
but
from my capacity of what in terms of what I do. We have programs, theatre made for children, for adults, and then for society. So we go into the outskirts to do some of these things. So I mean,
it's not advertised well, then, is it? Because I think it's amazing that you go into like communities and take theatre to them. This is the first time I've ever heard anything like that.
I'll say yes and no. Probably is not much advertised about, but you know, we as a national theatre, there's a focus of whatever we do in terms of what we are presenting. We are in a way trying not to. We are projecting our culture. And in projecting your culture, you should be careful not to, you know, what do you call it, mix it up with certain things that doesn't project your culture. So if let's say we are telling a story about Kwekwanansi, which we know is a folktale, we know it's Ghanaian, we know yes. People would say that we can project it that would appeal to both the young and the yes, it is true. But I mean, Kwekwanansi is Kwekwanansi. When you project Kwekwanansi, it's a story. It's something that lives on. We've listened, watched by the far side and things. We've enjoyed Kwekwanansi from the way it was. Somebody would say we should change it and project it the way like people, let's say, do Spider-Man. You get it? But the people, we have to own what is ours.
But don't you think that you can? Because I understand them, like for instance when we were kids, there was a way things were done that would get to us. Now we have kids who are literally living online and their attention span, they're so used to, I mean, like when you and I started using computers, you could sit for half a day for something to load. Now it's just back and they've got the information. So the thing is how to get it to them via a medium that they understand. So I don't know about do it like Spider-Man, but do it in a way that attracts the attention of without losing the intent of it.
Yes, it's true. But another thing is also sometimes there are some financial constraints as well.
A lot of financial
If you-
costs. Let's
if
just
you-
be. Let's just, you. We were talking during the musical break about people not saying what they really need to say.
So sometimes, really, sometimes I think that's really the the crack of the matters. There's really some serious financial challenges, because you see,
Because theatre is expensive.
it's expensive.
I mean,
very,
for
very
instance,
expensive.
like just for any of our viewers who don't really understand what it is, they hear the word theatre. But what is theatre? Break it down for us.
All right. So I will do this. When we say theater, is basically, like I said earlier, when someone says theater,
It's a
two things come
verb.
into play. You think of it as performance. You think of it as a place. So if you check the books, I think the Greek word for theater is theatron, meaning seeing, or a
Okay.
place
To
to see.
see.
Yes. So that's one. And then the performance bit. So for me, all of these come together. So that's why earlier on I said the verb, and then there's the noun part,
Yeah.
and there's the place. So for me, I'll say theater is a collaboration of or form of art, or a form of a performing art, which uses live performers, uses stage scenery, uses lights, props, sound,
Costume,
costume,
instruments, music.
to present
Lighting.
a true or imaginative event
To transport the audience
to
into another
a live
world.
audience.
Yes.
So three things: it's a collaboration, you use live performers, and you have some elements of art, so painting, scenery, and those things, and some stagecrafts. That's the costume, the makeup, and those things,
And then the props as
the
well.
props, before a live audience. So all of these things come together for you to have what? Theater. And it should also be at a place. And the place could be a street, wherever it is.
Under a
Once there's a
tree.
live audience and you are presenting before a live audience, it makes it theater. So you don't necessarily have to be in an auditorium where it's air conditioned or anything. It could be
So what about if you go to like a comedy club and somebody is not cracking jokes, but as you know,
Yeah.
comedians,
yeah.
would that be classed as theatre?
Yes, it is theater, because there's a live performer performing before a live audience in a specified area, and that in that instance, that comedy club is the theater, is the space or the place in which the performance is being held. So even you can have what do you call it? So there's music, musical concerts. There are theaters. They have live performers. They are performers performing to an audience.
Okay, so then all of that is theatre. And so we see it here. We have a lot of musicians doing events. We have comedy jams and things. But the theatre, that aspect of theatre, your niche of theatre, is the one that we don't tend to see. And then
yeah.
again, as you mentioned, obviously there are lots of little theatre groups doing things, but
yeah.
you talk about the finances. For instance, if there's going to be a theatre production, take us through the process and take us through, how long does it take to put a production together? Once, let's say you've taken the beautiful ones and you've said, okay, we're going to do the beautiful ones. What's the next stage? Once you've decided, on this, what's the next stage?
Okay, so in the first place, before you can have a production, someone comes up with the idea with all of these things. So that person is the producer. Or let's say you've contracted me as a theater person to do this production for you. So straight away, I'm the producer. More or less, you've made me the managing director for this project.
Yes.
So it means I'm going to put everything that has to be put together to do this, to make this production successful. Now, so in the first place, I'm the producer. I take the script. You give me the script. I look at it. This is a novel, so it's not a play.
So you
Then
have
I
to adapt it.
Adapt it.
Yes.
So it means the producer, me being the producer, I'm going to look for a playwright or a script writer
to convert it
convert it into dialogue
for you.
for me.
And there, the dialogue is pretty
Yeah.
nice
Yeah,
there already.
very. But because it's not a full play, all the things are not in dialogues. There are some are dialogues, some are, so you need to put them in proper context so you can have a dialogue and put all the characters out and give them the lines that they can. So that's it. So it means the producer then goes out to look for the playwrights first to do this, to convert it into a play that you can have the dialogues. Then, so the producer therefore looks at the financing and the managerial aspect of it, the production.
So as a programs manager,
yes,
at what point do you enter this story?
So that's it. So I'm the producer.
Aha.
So I bring all of these things together for a main production to happen. So the script is ready. So let's say the script is ready.
Yes.
I get a director for the play. So I get someone who I think can direct the project. I get a director. I look for my set designer. I look for my costumer. I look for my makeup person. I look for my stage lighting designer or lighting designer. And I look for, so the producer basically brings all of these people together.
All these different artistic skills.
So the designers plus the technicians. So a lighting designer is different from a lighting technician.
Yes.
Yes, because
it's a bit like a gaffer and a grip in a film.
Yes. So
setting.
so it's so you look for all of these people, bring them. So when the script is ready, you give all of these people that you have selected to work with, including, and don't forget, including a marketing and publicity person.
Yes.
And a front of house person. So front of house basically people who deal with ticketing, and then the space in which the program is going to happen. You'll look at setting up the place, the space, the foyer, the booth, all of those things, welcoming, ushers, and all of those things.
Yes.
So it's just like running a full business where you have all those chains of commands in there. So
based on your experience, how long would it take something like this to bring it to, like, if money were not a problem, what were, yes, because, am I lying?
No, I mean, you remind me of someone, that's why I was laughing.
Okay, so if money were not a problem, how long, once you, programs manager have said, we're doing this, you've started pulling your people together, how long does it take for me, Albert, and Joel here to buy our ticket and sit in the theater and watch it?
There's no one straight jacket of saying it takes 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
No,
it all depends.
Can it even take 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah. But it all depends on the sort of production you want to put out there.
No, so
but
I'm talking about you, Mr. Programs Manager. You are the one here talking, so you have to tell us.
Okay, so ideally 6 weeks should be good to produce a play. 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yes.
How many hours are people working?
I mean, the moment you put it in that in that context. It's a no. You know why? Because this is something different from the usual work that you do and the normal working hours that you have. This is you are taking something and you're going to live it.
Yes, I understand. That's why, because for instance, like when you work on like some really good film production, obviously by law and by contracts, you often cannot do more than 12 hours. And then if you go over, then you enter the realm of double pay and things, which producers don't want to enter that realm. So that's the kind of thing
that is sort of okay. So in normal practice, I mean, what we usually do is we have a rehearsal schedule. So we say, okay, mornings we are meeting from 8 to 12, 4 hours. Okay. We break. And then we come back maybe another 2 hours. So in normal this thing for rehearsal and things, usually ideally it is like 6 hours in a day.
Because it's heavy.
Yeah, it's
going.
heavy. Yes. So
because
like so you don't put so much stress.
Lines, you're singing, there's potentially dancing, there's movement all across the stage.
Yes.
So
but all of these things are put are put in. We rehearse them
schedule.
in segments. So let's say on the schedule today we are doing Act 1, Scene 2.
Do you start off by like a read through and a talk
Yeah.
through for people
Yeah.
to
Yeah. So it's part of the process I was talking about. So when the script is developed and the producer looks at the script and we look at the script, we make copies for all of these key people.
yes,
So the heads of all of these
the HODs. Yeah.
if that needs to know about it. So we have a read through of whatever is done. So after we read through everything, we now have a script. We know we are ready. Then there's the audition process
Yes.
where we look for. So even sometimes some of these lighting designers and all of these people, we audition them as well.
Yeah.
So basically,
Because the fact that it's live, you
Yes,
can't mess
you can't
up.
mess
You
up.
don't have a second chance to do it.
at all.
Yeah.
And that's the
It's a
difficult part of
one-touch thing.
theater. When you go, you miss your lines or you say the wrong things. That's it. There's
it.
nothing like me pow chomp pese, me banner me. No, there's
No.
nothing like that. It's
No.
gone.
And your audience will catch it straight.
I remember one time I was on stage and I forgot my lines. I forgot my lines because I was on stage and I saw a family member with my little nephew running. So he saw me on stage, so he was virtually running to me on.
And that's it. Your mind went
My mind
blank.
went off, and I stood there. My fellow actor was waiting for the lines, and I looked in his eyes. I opened my eyes and I was looking at, and he realized though there was something wrong.
So then he picked
He
it
picked
up
it
and
up.
he just continued.
That's the beauty of it.
And you have to be professional.
Professional
the moment
about
you
it.
see that there's a problem, you just
You just quickly help the
You know,
other person out.
yeah.
So the producer once I'm the producer, I choose the director. We look at the script. We've gotten the script. So is the producer, the director, and the playwright. We have the script.
And then you also
Now
have the creative input, because obviously you're not, because of the medium, you cannot follow it
Yes.
exactly. So because maybe it's 1.5 hours, 2 hours, this might need to be condensed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of this is the director also comes up with his concept
Yes.
for
Or her
for the
concept.
for the whole production that's going to take place.
Yeah.
He says, okay, this Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born. Okay, it talks about corruption. Okay, so but my focus probably for directing this production is still going to be corruption, but I'm going to place more emphasis on the family aspect of corruption, not the government aspect of corruption. So all those choices are things that the director should make. But sometimes, the producer can also say, because I'm putting in the money, I'm doing this, I'm doing
Well,
that. But
ultimately, the producer wields the power.
yes, but sometimes some directors will tell you,
It depends
you're
on
giving me the job to do, so
but
leave me, let me do my job.
It depends on the contractual agreement.
That's it.
Because if your contractual agreement gives you creative liberty,
But you see, sometimes that is where sometimes you need to leave the creatives to do their work and leave the administrators also to do their work.
But
Because,
as a- but-
the moment the director wants to project something, you have given him the script. Once you've given him the job to do, let the technocrats do their work.
but the thing is, somebody like you who's a programs manager,
Yeah.
but you came from a place. Yes, you are now in admin, but you didn't just wake up one morning and land in admin. There's a journey that you took
Yes.
from performer
Yes.
onwards.
So I know the steps.
Okay, so during this beautiful, and you're
Yeah.
right, it is evergreen, like the
Yeah.
whistling. I mean,
Yeah,
it's gorgeous. But during the song, we were discussing, that the terrible lives of performers, people who put their all into it, and then they literally end up with nothing. You started off as a performer,
Yeah.
and obviously something along the way made you decide that.
Yeah.
What was the first piece of theater you did as a performer?
Oh, try to remember. Okay. I'll take it from my. Okay. The first, I really I
You've done a
started.
lot, huh?
I've done. I started
Okay,
off
what
in.
what is the one role that you performed that you feel impacted you the most as an
It's
artist?
not an African play though, but It's from Shakespeare,
Okay.
The Merchant of Venice.
The Merchant of Venice.
Super. It's a super play.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter who the writer is, but I mean, it's a super play. You know, I in secondary school, I read this book, this play. I read it in secondary school. So then coming from secondary school, I had a lot of, you know.
Which character did you play?
I played Shylock.
Ha! That's
Funny enough, I was looking for.
multifaceted character.
I tell you. I was looking through my things quite recently, and I saw the pictures from in 2006 at the University of
Whoa.
Ghana School of Performing Arts, Legon. I saw the pictures and I posted it on Facebook. I mean, those who knew,
We're
who watched,
coming
and like,
out.
hey, like comments and what.
Throwback.
I was,
Serious throwback.
it was one of the plays that I I performed in that I think impacted me a lot
Mhm.
in terms of my perspective about theater and, you know, playing a role, analyzing the character and all sort of thing. I mean, Shylock is not. When I took up that role, people thought I couldn't do it, and I'm like, no, I will do it. I know why I'm saying that.
When did you do this?
In 2006,
So
I think
this
I
was before your Who Am I crisis.
Yes.
Okay.
This was before the Who Am I crisis was in 2010 to.
What happened to you?
You know, after during school, I was really into performance. After university, first degree, I did my national service with a resident company, drama group, Groma in University of Ghana, Legon. From 2007 to 2008. After I stayed on for contract, I still performed for some time. And then, you know, that sort of thing, you know, people are like, they've taken you to school to go and learn. You say you want to do, in quotes, dondology. I mean, that kind of language. I say, be act. Don't you see how people go poor and they are hungry and they act, they don't get anything? I'm like, no, that's what I want to do.
But it's also a reality, though, isn't it?
It is, but that's what I want to do. So after that, I think that thing hit me because now I'm done with my service, and I was on contract part time, and you know sometimes it's sad when you see, sorry to say, when you see people that you are working with who are full-time workers, they are taking full salary, and you don't even see, excuse me, so you don't see their seriousness in terms of the work, commitment to the work they are doing. And you being a part-time person, you are so committed because you love the job, the passion is
But
there.
that's because you are
and you don't get.
You're a true creative, and you're driven by your emotion and your passion.
That's why most performers or artists, I mean, we live on our emotions. We let the emotions, you know, take us, you know.
So it's like
on.
the heart that leads as
Leads.
opposed to the brain
Yes.
calculating.
That is why for me, I say, so the 10 or that moment was, I mean, I was like, oh, I'm doing all of these things and I'm seeing all of these people, and I'm like, so I had to leave the job because I didn't see why I was putting in so much and I'm not getting what I'm expecting, because there was so much pressure on me. You know, young guy, I'm out of school, I have a girlfriend, I need to keep up and all of those things. You know, friends are doing this, you know, you want to live like, but I realized, so I had to, that was the point in my life where I had to. So I left the job, not knowing where to go, I mean, nothing. And I was like,
but you picked up the skills for
what I want to do ahead.
what you ended up.
So it was during this period that I met my mentor then. It was one of the, you know, I met him and introduced me to the book. I read books also. He gave me some books of this Brazilian writer, Paulo Coelho. Great, The Alchemist. I
Yes.
mean, I read some of these books, 11 Minutes, Zahe. I mean, I read some of these. There were moments that I read all of these things and I was able
like it
to
just
analyze and
changed your
consume, change
life.
my perception about whatever I'm doing.
Yes.
So it's not usually, really, it's not about what you are doing. It's about how does it make you feel?
It's
Is there
about,
contentment?
I think it's about the why.
That's it.
The why do you do?
Do it.
What
You need
do.
to answer certain things before you be at peace with yourself.
Yes.
So that was the period that I realized, no, this is my thing. This is my passion. This is what makes me who I am. Why then do I have to run away? It's like you run away from your shadow.
Yes.
You can never run away from it. So within this period, that period, I had to come back to theater, to what I love doing, to what makes me happy, to what makes me know that this is it. So that's how come I ended up in the National Theatre in 2013 after my long break from performance and thing. So I ended up in the theatre.
During that break, what were you doing?
I did a lot. I entered into construction.
Anything that wasn't artistic?
Yeah.
You were running away?
Yeah, because I thought it wasn't putting money in my pocket.
And in a lot of cases, it doesn't.
Yeah. So for me, the change now is that's why I left performance. I think, I'm not saying I've left performance, but I moved from performance into administration.
But it's still theatre.
It's still theatre, but there's a change. We can change something. So for me, the point is,
what do you want to see changed?
One of the things I want to see changed is artists should be artists. Managers should be managers.
Yep.
Administrators should be administrators.
Yep.
We shouldn't burden the artist of
doing
creating
everything
and then being his own manager and trying to. I mean, we artists sometimes also need to understand that it's a what do you call it? It's a division of labor.
It's a bit like, as you said, theatre. All the different skills come together to produce.
It's a collaborative art.
Yes.
So everybody has something to do. So the artist should create the work. The managers should do good job. They should manage the artist well. So at the end, we don't find ourselves where probably I think family pressures and things were making me run away from what I love doing. So the artists will have enough peace of mind and create new works.
And put themselves into it so that when the audience goes, they're transported into
That's it.
Because that's what theatre's supposed to do. You're supposed to, that 2 hours or whatever you're there, you're supposed
Concentration
to
is supposed to, yes.
You're
You need to
supposed to
help
go
someone
somewhere.
out there.
And if you have all these problems on your head, you also cannot,
Yeah.
if you're thinking, how do I even pay my
Pay my
trotro
trotro
fare
fare back home and things. You know, there have been times where we performed and we go home. I use my own money to pick car for rehearsals, to Legon, back to North Kaneshi. Sometimes I come back home and there's nothing. Sometimes how to even get back for rehearsal, I need to borrow some money from my auntie, from my grandma. I go and pick some money here and there. And it's like, you say you are going to do something and you don't come home with anything.
And we are rather supporting
And you finish these productions, the money they will even give you, your transportation, it will not even take care of your transport.
Why is it that we don't respect the arts? When it's something that is so beautiful, like Amata Edu said, the arts are the glue that holds society together. It is such an important thing, and yet there's no importance given to it.
I don't think we kind of, it's not that we don't respect it. I think
we don't respect
we've learned from it. It's just there are some few people who make some of these things go bad. Because really there are some people who also they would get some sponsorship from it. I'm not saying this on authority, but it's just something I'm saying. They would have the money, but they would pay people little.
In fact, this is not something that you're saying. This is something that goes across the board in the film world, in television. I mean, you hear of some productions where even the actors are supposed to pay to be in it. You know, so what you're saying is not something you are making up in your mind. It's just you're just being coy and not saying that.
So I think for me that's it. So that's why I ended up in administration. In my own little way, I think I can do some of these little things and put them right
to improve the lives of the artists.
There's nothing wrong with me coming here. How about you want to engage me for a project? The first thing we need to do is we need to have a discussion.
Yes.
And the discussion shouldn't even be between the artist and you. The artist should have a manager. Somebody to run business aspect of it for you.
Because you know the other thing too that we do as artists, if you fall in love with a project, you know, you love it so much, and they turn around and they say, Charlie, I can only pay you 5 CDs a day. And because you love the project, you go in. And then it gives them license to keep on exploiting other people.
That is why the artist needs management. Because the artist, yours is to create because of your emotions and passions for the work you
Yes.
do. You end up not,
You end up-
forgetting about
you-
the business part of it.
You end up
And
giving them money just to be in
just
it.
yes. But if you have somebody who understands this thing, I mean, you sign, you go, we have a discussion. Fine, we've looked at it. Now it's a contract. You need to find a lawyer to look at it for you.
Yes.
Don't say because you can read and write, so you understand legal terms and
You
everything.
don't. That legality.
You end up
don't.
losing money, or
Yes.
you end up rather paying the people who are supposed to rather pay you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, I think it's
And then with things like copyright
issues
you
and
get yourself into all kinds of
royalties and I mean,
yes.
look at this Papa Yangsing song that he just played.
Yeah.
I think he did this song. It was one of his first. It was one of his first album songs that he did. I don't know if he's receiving, the family is receiving royalties on it or anything. We hear artists and people talking about royalties and things and copyright issues. I mean, these are the little things that we need to put right to make the life of the artist and the team
So
better.
these are all the niches within the industry that needs to grow,
grow.
and to come, because then that's how you create an industry, when all the different elements are
Yes,
there. For
because
you
we
to-
say it's a collaboration.
Yes.
How is it that is
One-
okay when we are collaborating? I mean, the light, the sound, the costume, everything. We collaborate and put up a performance. But when it comes to the money aspect of it, we are not able to collaborate to get
The
whatever
money.
we are supposed to.
Oh my
get.
gosh, this has been an amazing conversation. We could have just like gone on. In
I
fact,
tell you.
I've gone over my time. I'm trying to, you know what's been happening? My guests come and we have such a great conversation,
They
and
has
I
to end.
run over time. But I'm really trying to learn to do it within time. So Nii, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank
You whole broad. And as for your reading, dear, do you narrate books?
No,
You should think about it, because you do have the voice for it.
I don't want to do two things. That now my focus is to.
No,
do
but
that.
everyone needs a side hustle.
Yeah, but I mean,
Unless you're getting paid a ton
it's
and
like
you
it's
do
like
not
I
need
say
it.
I say I'm a singer. Then I say, oh, I'm an artist. I'm a painter as well. Which one do I want to do? Sometimes we need to focus.
course.
Do the one you know how to do and do it right. I mean,
Okay.
I believe in excelling in
But
that.
this one too, you know how to do. We've all heard you.
So which one will you choose for me?
I think you should do what your heart
That's it.
does. But
That's
but I also think that a side hustle too is not bad.
I'll think about that.
Anyway, so a hand is never enough to lift a heavy load. That was my proverb of today. And it's something that as Nii and I have been talking here, it's something that artists are having to do. People get up, you want to do a project, you can't find the people because people are thinking, hey, am I going to help this person for them to make money? What do I get out of it? And so we end up doing things on our own, and it shouldn't be. It should be like theater. It should be a collaboration where people from different skills, as he said, the artists, the costume, the makeup, the lighting, the set design, the managers, the front house people, the ushers, all come together to make theater this wonderful thing. So the unity in diversity is important, and the way for us to go, just like a theater production, diverse elements and skills coming together to create greatness and beauty. Nii, thank you for taking your time sharing the theater world with us today.